All right, buckle up, everybody. We're diving headfirst into a quarterback controversy.
Controversy. Is it really a controversy?
Well, maybe not full-blown controversy, but definitely a decision with some serious implications for the Minnesota Vikings. And of course, that means it's got Vikings fans buzzing.
Makes sense. 14-2, playoffs pretty much in the bag. But then this pops up right before a huge game against the Lions.
Exactly.
Yeah.
The Vikings are apparently considering promoting a practice squad quarterback right before a must-win game. That's got to raise some eyebrows.
You're talking about Daniel Jones, right?
Yeah, Daniel Jones. The article we're looking at is titled, Vikings Mulling Complicated Daniel Jones Decision Ahead of Lions Showdown.
Yeah, I saw that. It's a head-scratcher for sure. Why mess with the formula now?
Right. I mean, Sam Darnold is having a career year. Who would have thought?
I know. He's been balling out.
And Nick Mullens has been a solid backup, knows the system, doesn't rock the boat.
And then there's Brett Ripien as the third stringer, just in case.
But you bring in Daniel Jones, a former first-round pick, a guy who started for the Giants, and he chooses to be on the practice squad.
It's not your everyday move, is it? Makes you wonder what his thinking is.
You'd think his agent would be pushing for a starting role somewhere, anywhere, to prove he can still cut it.
You would think so, yeah. But maybe this says something about Jones. Maybe he knows he needs to refine his game, learn from a winning organization.
So he's betting on himself long-term, hoping this helps him in free agency down the road. Interesting. But what about the Vikings? What's their angle here?
Well, if they promote Jones to the active roster and he signs elsewhere in the offseason, they could get a compensatory pick in the draft.
Okay, that makes sense. A little draft capital never hurts.
But is it worth the risk?
Right. Is it worth potentially disrupting the team's chemistry right before the Lions game? And this isn't just any game. It's a battle for the #1 seed in the NFC, home field advantage throughout the playoffs.
Talk about a high-stakes decision.
Absolutely. You have Mullens, who, as we said, knows the system but hasn't exactly lit it up.
And then you have Jones, who's had his struggles, sure, but he's also shown flashes of brilliance.
And let's not forget Sam Darnold's contract situation.
Yes. The Darnold factor. He's a free agent after this season. After a year like this, he's going to want top dollar.
And deservedly so. But do the Vikings pay him? They also drafted J.J. McCarthy.
Oh, yeah, McCarthy. High draft pick. Unfortunately, he missed his rookie season with that torn meniscus.
So where does Jones fit in all this? Is he a bridge to McCarthy if they let Darnold walk? Or is he a solid backup if they re-sign Darnold?
Tough to say. Maybe this decision tells us what the Vikings are thinking long-term.
It's like a giant quarterback puzzle, isn't it? They have to consider the Lions game, but also the ripple effects down the line. So let's say they do activate Jones. What have we seen from him in New York that might translate to Minnesota?
Well, you got to remember, he was playing under a different coaching staff, different offensive scheme, and honestly, with less talent around him.
So we can't judge him solely on his Giants performance.
Exactly. Maybe a change of scenery is all he needs. A stable organization like the Vikings. Maybe he thrives there.
Or maybe he flops.
Exactly. And that's what makes this whole thing so interesting. It's a gamble either way. Stick with Mullens, you know what you're getting, but it might not be enough. Go with Jones, higher risk, but maybe a higher reward.
So put yourself in the Vikings coach's shoes. You're staring down this Lions game. The pressure is on. What do?
It's such a tough call. You could argue it either way, but I think I'd probably take the risk on Jones. It's a long shot, but the potential payoff, a comp pick, a potential long-term answer at QB, maybe even a spark that helps them win the Lions game, it's hard to ignore.
It's a gamble, but sometimes you got to roll the dice.
Exactly. This decision, even if it's just about the backup QB, it could have huge repercussions for the Vikings.
This deep dive really makes you think, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Every decision matters. Every move has consequences. So what will the Vikings do? Guess we'll have to wait and see.
Can't wait to find out. It's going to be the talk of the town for Vikings fans and analysts alike.
It sure will. And that's all the time we have for this deep dive. Thanks for joining us. We'll be back soon with another fascinating topic. Until then, keep those minds churning.
Absolutely. See you next time.